Our next guest on this special edition is the founding president of the Sarasota Prostate Initiative. After a cancer scare, David Morse tells everyone who'll listen that he had a health crisis, and it is no joke. He is not surprised when men dealing with cancer has become a topic of common ground. Hello, David.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
And David, I have to start by saying my father passed away from prostate cancer, so this is a very important
boost. At the same time, about 2 years prior, I had met Willie Shaw, former commissioner, former mayor, who is from the Newtown community and is a very prominent man in the community overall, and a wonderful guy. I had seen him speak about prostate cancer, which he had had a battle with himself, at a conference in Newtown at the Taylor Center. And I vowed from that day forward to find a way to do something more within the Black community, because I was already aware that Black populations face this prostate disease as they do many other diseases, and in this case at something like twice the rate of whites and even Hispanics. So it's a very serious issue, and of course the serious aspects are, number one, that frequently they don't get the proper information because they're kind of out of the mainstream of healthcare. I mean, it's a terrible thing to say, but the fact is that the Black communities around our country simply don't get the attention that they should. And not that they need special attention, but they at least need equal attention. And one of the beauties, somebody earlier mentioned the Sarasota Memorial Health Care unit that's in Newtown now, a tremendous move on the part of the hospital, and the community is responding very favorably. They have a wonderful doctor there, and the thing is that we all share this disease together, all men and their spouses and partners. So whether you're Black or white or Hispanic or Greek or whatever, the disease affects you pretty much the same way from a physical point of view. I'll never forget a very interesting quick story I'll tell you about why I think this has broad implications for the greater community, but impacts the minority community as well as the white community. Is that I walked into Jetson's Barbershop, which, if those of you who know Newtown know that that's kind of the center of social activity, as barbershops tend to be. And Jetson is a wonderful guy. I have gotten to know him and appreciate him. But one of the early times I walked in was before we had many programs planned for the community, which we have since done and are very happy with. But we had a little gathering, and he and I were talking about prostate cancer, and 3 or 4 other guys in the room. And the next thing I knew, one of them came up to the counter and talked with Jetson and I, and then a couple of more came up and talked. And the next thing I knew, there were 4 or 5 of us just chatting like we were in the men's locker room someplace about our various very personal issues regarding prostate cancer. And so there's no question in my mind that bridging the gap is important for all races. It's important to get the attention and the services to the Black community. At the same time, everybody should benefit from this. So I continually encourage my friends to spend a little time in Newtown, or find a project in Newtown that might be useful and beneficial, that serves your own personal needs, and contribute money if you want, but spend some time there, meet some people.
David,
so
you reached out to Empowering Voices and asked, how can I help men of color with such a personal condition? What of your personal beliefs or values inspires you to embrace regardless of race?
You know, I think there were 2 things that really motivated me. One was the very practical need that I saw to reach out to the Black community. I see my job as reaching out to as many men and their partners as possible. And a neglected part of that has been the Black community. So I've been very focused on that from just the standpoint of what I see my job as being. But initially, I think I developed an awareness of cultural differences and racial differences when I was 5 years old, and 2 of my 4 or 5 best friends were either Black or a mixed race. And this was in a community that was probably 98% white, a very suburban white community around Boston. But you know, we played together. There was just never any distinction between our personalities. We just, I knew he was black and the second person was of mixed race. There was an awareness of it, but it never affected anything we did. And one of the great stories of my life is the fact that we lost touch when I was age 10 or 11 because each went off to different schools in different communities. But about 4 years ago, I was looking at a Facebook communication, and it was all about politics, which raises everybody's hackles. But I saw this name attached to one of the articles, comments. I said, I know that guy. And sure enough, after a couple of communiques back and forth on Facebook, I decided I want to write him personally. I didn't quite know how to make that work because I didn't want to communicate on Facebook. But we made connection, and it's just been a marvelous reconnection from 50 years ago. And it just shows that, you know, if you have a core of interest and family background and other related activities, there's no reason that you can't connect and communicate and care about other people.
Well, the world is a good place because of humans like you. So I just have to say that up front. So thank you. But, you know, I want to ask another question. What gives you hope that our Suncoast communities here will survive the racial divide that we're talking about and being experienced throughout our country?
I think we have a great opportunity here. I do, but so does the rest of the community that's involved with this. We've developed over the past 6 or 8 months a group of at least a dozen solid partners from the Newtown community and at least another 24 from the greater Sarasota community. And people like the SMH Health Center, Goodwill, it's an overwhelmingly large list, and it's people that really care about what's going on in that community. And the African American Cultural Center is just one of the most marvelous things I can imagine. I was a history major in college, and I've always been appreciative of history. And when I look at Newtown, I see the history of Sarasota starting and for many years emanating from Newtown. I mean, the influence of people from there is just unbelievable. So we've got to get together and work together and get things done, and I'm convinced we can.
Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate all that you're doing.
Sure.
And coming up, we'll have news from across the nation.
Stay with us.
You're invited to Ashley Home Store's